hello and welcome into another edition of Game Day TV. I'm Jerry Young along with legendary Coach Max Howell. Max, we always got to start somewhere. I guess everything starts somewhere.
Well, after this past weekend, it could be anywhere, where we want to go.
Coach is on the hot seat still, and Coach is gone already.
You know, gone but broke. I mean, I got that text yesterday. And I know they're still trying to work out a settlement with Coach McElwain, but there's some others out there that's getting very close. I'd hate to be in Knoxville this morning.
Oh, absolutely.
And I tell you, there's one or two more that I think may surprise some people that started off on the hot seat, and the season started off on a good situation with themselves. But Kevin Sumlin, you let Auburn go out there and beat him by 3 or 4 touchdowns, he may not make it to the end of the year. But the other side of that,
there you go.
You let Kevin Sumlin's team win, Coach Malzahn may have a long trip back to Auburn.
You know, we're looking at, everybody's talking about it on social media, so we might as well talk about it on Game Day TV. You got a possibility that Malzahn maybe looked at Arkansas with Bielema leaving.
Yep.
You may look at Mullen going to Florida.
Yep.
You may have Texas A&M gone.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously got an opening at Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is already open right there. Now Florida's open already this morning.
Right.
So, but we talked about this, Jeff, in the opening part of the year. The Southeastern Conference is down. We know that. And this conference has been too good, too long to stay down very long. And my whole, I think, emphasis early in the season was the guy that had the chance to become the coach of the year that would help purge the Southeastern Conference has done just that. Will Muschamp at South Carolina. Right. He's bowl eligible when he's 6-2. He's got a chance to win at least 8 this year. Nobody in Columbia, South Carolina thought that would happen. I don't even think Will thought that.
I agree with you. Hey, we got a packed show. As you can see, we're already jumping into it early. Let me tell you this before I tell you what our show's going to be today. Max honored this week to be named as the analyst for playoff football for Raycom Sports, so you'll be able to see Max all across the state of Alabama every Friday night on whichever Raycom channel you tune into across the state. Congratulations,
Well,
Max.
thank you so much. People get a chance to see why I've been on radio for 30 years.
Yeah, well, they'll keep the camera on the players more than you.
I'm glad.
That's right. Okay, we're going to review, of course, all the top games, and Max is going to put the hard hat on one more week and talk about who he's going to tear up this week in demolition. I've got a great high school report. Obviously, everybody knows the game between Thompson and Hoover was quite possibly the game of the decade, if not certainly the year. I'm going to throw up some playoff brackets on the screen. You'll be able to see where your favorite team, wherever you live in Alabama, did your team make it to the playoffs. You'll be able to not only see if they did, but also who they'll be playing. Marty Staples is back this week. Tips on tailgating, a little short segment. We'll be posting the recipes to his segment on our Facebook page at Ask Game Day TV. So when you see this show on Facebook, you'll see Marty on there about the third segment of this show. You will see on Facebook where the recipes are posted as well. Max is going to review the top games coming up this next week, as well as the playoff picture for the SEC. That's some interesting talk. Kim Shera will be back with our game day weather, and then Max is going to end it up with his all-famous What's for Supper. So, Max, we got a big show coming up.
Hey, look, this is about 10 times we sit down here in the last
That's
couple
right.
of months. I'm hoping it's gotten a little bit better as we roll along. A lot of information, Jerry, to cover today.
Well, especially the first time, technically, you and I have done a whole hour TV show. It's a little bit different from radio. We talked about that when we started Game Day TV.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the makeup room is a busy place for me. Hey, we're going to take a break, folks. We'll be back. You're watching Game Day TV. Max is going to talk about what happened this past week and who's on the hot seat and who's not. When we come back right here on Game Day TV.
The unexpected. The inevitable. The inconvenient. Life can be difficult. Make it a little easier. Alpha Insurance.
At Central State Bank, we are more than your local branch. Our digital lobby offers you the same great service you receive at our local offices, all from the convenience of your phone or home. Use mobile deposit, online banking, mobile wallet, and more. It is easy, convenient, and secure. Come by and see your personal banker or find out more at centralstatebank.com. This is just another way Central State Bank is large enough to serve you and small enough to know you.
Thank you. I never in a million years thought that I would ever have to utilize the Ronald McDonald House. It meant the world that I was able to stay so close to her, and she was never alone. Thank you from the Chapkauskas family.
Sundown 10 is the only company in Central Alabama authorized to sell Autobond's Hooper Optics nanotechnology window tint film. We are the best because we sell the best. With Hooper Optic, you get the first patented nano-ceramic window film with 3 times more infrared rejection. It's 25 times more durable than competing films and 13 degrees cooler. This cutting-edge technology provides remarkable performance and cool European styling, and you can only get it at Sundown 10 in Hoover. For the best window film installed by the best team, Sundown is the place to go.
Hey, if you could hear what we talk about during the commercial break, but we're going to talk about it right now. Let's start, Max. You got the hat on. Let's just start with Florida.
Bring the hammer and the bulldozers out.
I'm telling you.
This program has got, Jerry, I get a chance to come to Birmingham.
Right.
And I spend a weekend with you every weekend. And kind of Sunday's a prep day. How many radio shows I do yesterday? The phone just jumped off the table all about what's going on. In particular, it all started at the University of Florida. They get beat 42-7 by Georgia. I don't know that was a surprise that they lost the game, but the score and the way they, I think Fromm threw 7 passes. The rest of it was just run straight at them, knock them on their rear, and keep going and keep scoring. So I think that kind of solidified all the controversy that had gone on the week before with Coach McElwain saying, hey, his family got in death threats and some of the players, and then he couldn't defend that, and just a lot of really controversy going on. Steve Spurrier had volunteered to help the offense, and Coach McElwain didn't want any of that. And then that's that ego thing that, as you well know, that gets involved at that level. So the end result is Scott Strickland and the administrative staff Sunday morning made a decision. The decision was released around lunch, as you and I was watching, to find out as much information as we could, but yet no definitive amount of money. The buyout was like $12.7, I think, $1 million, by the way. And because of firing with cause, that was a drastic reduction in that money. We don't know how much it is. I'm going to say probably at least 50% off of that and maybe more. But bottom line is, as an opening, Randy Shannon, who'd been previously the head football coach at the University of Miami, now the defensive coordinator at Florida, acts as the interim now for the remaining 4 games of the season at the University of Florida. And I'll get away from this topic. I got to say one thing. All the stuff that went on that caused that, I think it really boiled down to 2 things. One is the recruiting process did not take place at the level that the Florida fans and the coaching staff expected. And 2 is Coach McElwain came in from Colorado State. Had been on Coach Saban's staff also, but had great credentials as an offensive mind, genius. Well, the offense did not perform, Jerry. It has not performed there in a while. How do you stay in Gainesville, Florida, in the state of Florida that produces over 250 Division I, and you don't have enough players to play? I understand he had 10 suspensions. We understand all the reason. There is no reason.
But his skilled players is where he's lacking.
And that's what
and
state
in the
of Florida.
state of Florida, that's what they
are.
produce.
You're absolutely right. You don't find many 6'6", 320-pounders, maybe up in the Panhandle, south of Gainesville. You can't drive. You drive down the road and blow the horn, and they'll come out of the woodwork. That's right. Just come on. I want to play for you, Coach. And most of them run a 4.3.
That's right.
Top of that. So anyway, that's all said and done. Their performance on the field was atrocious. It looked like, I don't even believe they went to practice last week. It doesn't appear that way. Right. So bottom line is they were awful. They get beat, and they fire the coach.
Before we get off of Florida, basically you and the hard hat, we've been deconstructing demolition. They need a new contractor, and they're going to get one. They got a whole new contractor going to Florida.
I know there's about 3 or 4 people that are applying for that general contractor's license in the state of Florida, and I think they're going to go out of state, bring in a new contractor, and it looks like to me right now they'll start a rebuilding program relatively soon.
All right, let's move on to Ole Miss, and what a clunker that was.
How do you look? I've been around this game a long time. I mean, I don't even want to tell you how many years. But bottom line, I've never seen a game like that. I've never seen, if I'm up 31-7 in a first quarter, and I may start playing my twos, but we were talking before the show today. My assessment is, if what's going on at Ole Miss, and I get a lot of feedback from a lot of Ole Miss friends. I was on that staff for a while, and they say, "Oh man, you know, they right around the corner. They're going to keep building, and just because the NCAA sanctions are coming down, they aren't going to give up." And all. Let me tell you what they're playing for. Not to get hurt. That's the only reason. They want to get the season over with. And yesterday. Now, let's go to Coach Bielema at Arkansas, just in reference to that, is that win came back, won 38-37 in that ball game on a fumble right at the end of the ball game, and they kick a field goal and win it. But you know what? That could not be classified for Arkansas as a signature win. You know why? Arkansas's won 4 in a row, even when Ole Miss went 10-2. One of those losses was to Arkansas. So I don't see how that helps the Arkansas situation any. But I will say this: when you know it's bad, when the head coach at Ole Miss refuses to do the press conference after the game, he didn't show up. And Matt Luke's a great guy and all, and I know, but he knows he's not going to get the job. Right. So he sends his coordinators in to do that. And I'm not sure I wouldn't have done the same thing. But anyway, they're in a total mess over there. They're recruiting. I think the last time I saw this time of the year on commitments for recruiting for next year, most teams are 12 to 15 commitments right now. I think Ole Miss has 3 or 4. They're down at 100. In the 100 level as far as the number of recruits that are quality recruits that can move the program forward.
Moved to Tennessee.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know who's in worse shape right now. I mean, you know, here's the thing. The rumblings from Tennessee, from Knoxville about Butch Jones has been going on way longer than they have at Florida.
Right.
And you know, we tried to follow that close yesterday afternoon. And, you know, things were happening here, and, you know, they had a meeting, and basically, and here's what we assess, and nothing officially coming out of Knoxville yet. But the official assessment is they did meet, the athletic committee met, and probably called Coach Jones in and says, here's what the circumstances are.
Right.
Everybody in the world knows about your circumstance. You've got another week to get them ready to see how you perform. Now, for Butch Jones, they play Southern Miss, which Jay Hops and them done a good job at Southern Miss, but they lose to UAB this weekend. I mean, not just a squeak of 30-12.
Right.
I mean, UAB, Bill Clark and that bunch went down there and throttled them. So I don't know what that does to Southern Miss, other than the fact is, and I don't know that if Tennessee wins by 40, that'll do anything for Butch Jones. But that program, again, there's another one. But here's another situation where they've rehired Phil Fulmer. Let's see, I believe they tried to run Phil Fulmer out of town when they fired him.
Right. But he's back.
Yeah, I'm back.
And he's roaming the halls.
He's roaming the halls on a daily and making suggestions, I've heard. Oh. So, you know, this thing has just gotten to be bizarre. I look for the next domino to fall, and I think it'll probably be in Knoxville. It could be this week or the first of next week. And then, of course, the last one we'll get to in a few minutes is Arkansas. Right. Coach Bielema's got his problems as well.
That's right. Okay, so Tennessee's in trouble. Ole Miss is in trouble. Florida, of course, in trouble.
Done, yeah.
And now, well, talk about Texas A&M. We touched on that now. Texas A&M actually played better.
They did. They have played better.
But they've got to beat Auburn, bottom line.
They absolutely have to win that ball game. And sitting here this morning as we trying to get ready for the night show, I'm going to say to you, I don't see there's any way Texas A&M can beat Auburn. I may be. Here's much like Ole Miss did not lose. They did not get beat by Arkansas. They gave the game to Arkansas.
Right.
Texas A&M will have to give. Auburn will have to give the game to A&M for them to win. And I think that's the only way. I think Auburn's way more physical. But here's the other side of that, and we'll just touch Auburn a minute. Auburn better win it. Because Gus Malzahn, I mean, is not in. We know that there's some conflict going on down there, and there's some other folks roaming the hall down at Auburn that could make a decision about Gus Malzahn.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, I'm sure you don't, but that's okay.
Don't have a clue.
That phone number's 334. Let me give you that. So anyway, that's where I think that ball game is shaping up to be. From here till Thanksgiving, Jerry, critical ball games almost every weekend. I'm not talking about one-loss record and where the polls are. Keeping your job is on the line in some of these schools right now.
All right, Missouri. What do you think about them?
Well, Barry Odom's another one that's on the line. I mean, I think we saw them go to UConn. I saw them beat Idaho the week before. They go to UConn, and we said last week that they'd get well. They did. They won by 50 points or so in that ball game. But now that's the reality. They won 3, and now lost 5. But here's here's what they got to come back and face the SEC, and they've got some monster games ahead of them. I don't believe he'll get 5 wins, and I think now, based on, even though he's an alum, he's done a good job as an assistant coach there and as a player, but I think there's just too much stacked against him. Here's the thing: the only thing he's got going for him is, quote, basically the philosophy of the university. They may not want to jump full speed into the conference at any time. I mean, they were the first 2 years. Remember, they represented the East in Atlanta in the SEC. Since that time, boy, they spiraled out of control downward. And I'm not sure that maybe, based on some other things I've seen in that administration up there, that they're okay with that, you know? And that's, to me, I have a hard time with that. If you're going to be competitive and play competitive athletics at that level, then the goal is to win.
But there's a lot more going on at Missouri other than football, too, which has to be taken away from it.
It is.
I won't get into the
politics,
but there's a lot going on there.
It really is, and it's the philosophy of the university,
right?
You know, and that has a lot to do with it, and that may save his job. I'll be honest with you.
It may.
Yep.
All right, move on to Arkansas now. I know you touched on it.
Oh, man. You know, everybody's up in the air right now about Brett Bielema. Where do they do? What do they do? How they do? How can he keep his job? He's 11-26 in 5 years in the SEC. Guys, I'm telling you, you know, I believe my sister could do that. Right. I mean, really, it's just a situation where there's going to be a change. They've got another conflict over there, basically bigger than Brett Bielema. That's at the athletic director's job. Jeff Long is coming under all kind of heat from several sources. They have a new board of trustees. Now, the word we got yesterday is the board of trustees at Arkansas meets 1 week from tomorrow. And if that be the case, some decision will be made. I think the first will become either Jeff Long will be issued a new contract. He's at the end of his, and he'll be extended, and they'll have to work through the coaching situation. Or they dismiss or do not renew Jeff Long's contract. They go searching for a new AD, which we've heard some pretty popular names out there thrown around about that. If that's the case, then Coach Bielema just hangs on till the new athletic director comes in. But, you know, for the life of me, he hadn't recruited well. His philosophy he brought from the Big Ten hasn't worked. He's really alienated some coaches with his philosophy versus what the high school guys do. Nothing has worked well for him over there. He's not a good fit. And I think so many times, Jerry, we looked at it. You heard we talked conversation with people everywhere yesterday. I think the average fan and a lot of people don't understand. A guy may have a great track record on the field, but if the chemistry doesn't work with he and the athletic administrator and the team, guys, he's doomed.
By the way, folks, if you follow us on Facebook at Ask Gameday TV, you will have known that McElwain was gone before the rest of the country did, because Max has a little inside information there. We released it about 10 minutes before it was ever released anywhere else. So that's another good reason to join us on Ask Gameday TV on Facebook. We'll take a break. We're going to continue this conversation when we come back right here on Gameday TV.
Home. It's where you take your time. Build the future. Make your memories. Celebrate. Come home. Alpha Insurance.
Sundown 10 is the only company in Central Alabama authorized to sell Autobond Super Optics nanotechnology window tint film. We are the best because we sell the best. With Hooper Optic, you get the first patented nano-ceramic window film with 3 times more infrared rejection. It's 25 times more durable than competing films and 13 degrees cooler. This cutting-edge technology provides remarkable performance and cool European styling, and you can only get it at Sundown 10 in Hoover. For the best window film installed by the best team, Sundown is the place to go.
Central State Bank is your hometown bank, with signature personal service at 5 convenient locations in Shelby County. For more than 100 years, we've been large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. Come by and see us and visit us online at centralstatebank.com.
You can travel all over and you won't find another town with our name or our frame of mind. So much to do, so much to see. It comes down to this, it's easy to see. There's just one in the world, positively. Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back into Game Day TV, everyone. Let's keep going. Max, you took the hard hat off. There's 5 teams that we got listed that either we're going to leave them alone or just touch them up a little bit. 2 teams we want to touch up, Vandy and South Carolina. Start with Vandy.
And they played each other this weekend.
Right.
And I think there's, Derek Mason, you almost have to have some kind of sympathy or empathy for him in a place where he coaches at Vanderbilt.
Right.
Because it's not a level playing field. Their academics are somewhat higher. Their athletic department is really reconstructed to fit the university style. And all those things plays a role in not being really proficient for the athletic department.
Right.
Anyway, they lose. They play very close. I think the score was 34-27 in favor of South Carolina. To take nothing away from what South Carolina's doing, but Vanderbilt still has to struggle. They're still Vanderbilt.
And touching on the other side of the ball now, a little bit about South Carolina. Will Muschamp's doing okay?
Absolutely. Coming to this season this year, people I think were hoping they could break even at 6-6. Get him. He's got 6 wins now.
Right.
He's done it and had tremendous amount of injuries this year. Really unusual for this many into key positions, running back, wide receiver, guys that they have. But Jake Bentley, the quarterback out of Opelika, Alabama, has done a remarkable job in help holding that. And you're talking about a guy that's way more mature for his age. The guy's 18 years old and is a sophomore, being a starting quarterback in an SEC team and playing very, very well. I'm proud for Will Muschamp in South Carolina.
Just a little note about Jake Bentley.
Yes.
His dad's on the coaching staff.
Well, that's a good, that was a good hire.
I'm just telling you.
Well, I don't know which came first.
Yeah.
The chicken or the egg, or the player or the dad. I don't know.
Right.
Which,
All right.
Anyway.
For 3 teams you want to kind of just leave alone, and we'll just touch on these: Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi State.
Well, you look at the performance morning. Georgia just ran away. I think everybody really realized they were going to beat Florida. The line was at 14, which by far was the biggest line in coming out against with Georgia in Florida this past week. They win by 35 and did it handily. I mean, it was embarrassing how bad Florida played. Hats off to Kirby Smart, and I'll be the first to tell you, I didn't think he could do it in 2 years. He's done it in 2 years, and he's up and running. What they're saying now, Alabama East is what it looks like. So, yeah, hats off to Georgia for that win.
All right, Kentucky.
Well, again,
they played great.
They did. They came back and won that football game. They only won by 28-26, but the fact is they won. Tennessee had the ball several times. They finally got a touchdown, Tennessee did, but Kentucky just kept coming back. Kentucky's done a great football team, guys, but they're good enough to play, and they're good enough to determine. Now, Georgia's probably has already run away with the East, but they're going to determine how the rest of the division lines up, and also they've already become bowl eligible. They'll end up probably with 7 or 8 wins, and they'll get a decent bowl this year.
2 things. One thing that comes to mind about both of those teams, Kentucky and Vanderbilt, going back just a little bit, is they've never been able to finish.
No,
it's like they would give teams a good game, but then halfway through the fourth quarter they'd give up. This year, not so much. Vandy's playing to the bell, and so is Kentucky.
Well, how about
year.
this? You know a stat? Second win for Kentucky over Tennessee in 35 years.
Right.
So that tells you the dominance, or maybe that tells you how far Tennessee's fallen. It could be either one of those. But yeah, I like what they've done at Kentucky.
All right. Rumors surrounding Mullen now about going to Florida. Who knows if that's true or not? They're just rumors. But Mississippi State's playing pretty good.
Yeah, they are. But you know what? Go back and look. And a lot of people said, "Oh, it's Mississippi State." Well, here's the deal. Mississippi State was, again this year, like last year, was picked to finish last in the West. Guys, they don't finish last. They're going to finish about second or third.
Right.
They're playing extremely well. And here's the key to what Dan Mullen does. I'll be the first to tell you, and everybody else has ever known him. Scott Strickland even made reference in an interview yesterday that the fact is Dan is not the easiest guy to get along with. But let me tell you what, as long as you're winning the way he's winning, he's recruiting well, his kids never have any problems off the field. He's done a really good job with that but I think his expertise comes in coaching quarterbacks.
I do too.
Look at where he's been. He's been at Utah. He's been at University of Florida with Urban Meyer. He had Dak Prescott, who was a 3-star out of Louisiana, as a starting quarterback now for the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
Now he finds his kid, Nick Fitzgerald, a 6'5", 250-pounder. That was a tight end in Georgia. And what do? Make him a quarterback. What did he do last year as a freshman? Set the league's record in rushing and passing. So, you can't take away from anything that Dan Mullen's done. Now, whether he remains there or not, it will be Dan's choice. Here's a little nugget that nobody knows. Dan makes $4.7 million a year. That's a nice salary to live in Starkville, Mississippi. 0 buyout on his clause. He could walk away tomorrow and would not owe a nickel to anybody. Now, by the way, the guy that he worked for 2 years at Mississippi State, Scott Strickland, is now the athletic director at the University of Florida. Wonder what's going to happen there, Jerry.
All right, Max. Well, that's your demolition and your touch-up and everything else of what happened this past week. Let's look forward now to Saturday. LSU goes to Bama. I haven't seen any signs that say we want Bama. I'm not sure they want Bama. Bama, and we just might as well say it. All this mess we're talking about, I don't think it really matters because in the end, and you made the statement earlier, SEC's down a little bit this year. They're down everywhere except one important place, and that's in Tuscaloosa.
Let me tell you who's won in all this controversy is Nick Saban.
That's right.
You know why? Because there's nobody covering Alabama during this off period. Nobody's telling them how great they are. Now, the polls have come out. They're still at number one. They got all the votes to be number one. That's well and good. But there's nobody on talk radio, nobody on TV talking about how great. And Nick Saban loves that because he wants to, basically remain as obscure as he can under those circumstances. Right. Now, let's talk about LSU. He's going into that game a 21-point favorite.
Yep.
That's pretty good in that rivalry, to say the least. But LSU has to come to Tuscaloosa, guys, and I'm going to tell you we know that is not a fun place. And you got to give it to Ogeron and his staff down there. And I got a really good friend that coaches on that staff, and we talk pretty regular about what they're doing. But he's been tied up trying to reposition LSU, and they've done a good job after the loss to Auburn 3 weeks ago. So now, but what does that do to Carey? I looked at that loss. I give LSU the loss here, but I think they win out after that. Right. They'll get a nice bowl bid out of that, and they build, and it's all about recruiting thereafter.
All right, let's move on. Let me ask you this one question. Does Alabama cover that 21 points?
I guarantee you they cover it even more. Probably.
Auburn at Texas A&M, another high line for Auburn.
It is. They have to win that ball game, Jerry. I mean, anybody that follows it and knows anything about all the surrounding circumstances, one of them's got to lose, but both of them have to win.
Right.
I mean, if either team that loses in this matchup between Auburn and A&M, now it is out in College Station,
right.
And that's 105,000 out there, and they all standing. They got, they call it the 12th man. They got the 24th man out there when that noise starts, and it's a military base, and they all out there, and it's a have the big bonfire and all before. They do a lot of hype. Kevin Sumlin knows his circumstance there. So does Gus Malzahn. So I think, without a doubt, they've got to play at a higher level, both of them. The pressure to me is not so much on Sumlin, even though he's the head coach, is on John Chavis' defense. How do they stop Auburn's offense? Can they stop the read option? Because if they end up in an occasion like Arkansas did, don't put 8 or 9 on the field,
right.
Auburn run that read option every snap, I don't blame them.
Well, as long as Stedman doesn't keep the ball, it doesn't matter.
It does not. What did he do when he kept it?
I know.
I mean, I think 2 times he had over 50 yards rushing on 2 plays.
And you know that I've had a good pass with Chip Lindsey. Yeah. You know that he knows that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see if he's been saving it for a couple of big games. All right, move on to South Carolina and Georgia.
Well, you go back and look, and the fact is that Will Muschamp's done a really good job with that program, but they're no match physically for Georgia. Yeah, Georgia doesn't have everybody else. Next time Georgia will be challenged to play Alabama in the SEC championship game, and I think everybody will recognize that. Now, I will say this in Georgia's behalf is that I think at the time, as they rolling along the 8-0 right now, the times that they played each one of those opponents, I don't believe there was a winning record in there except for Notre Dame. And maybe Notre Dame is early in the year, they were 1-0 or 0-0 at that particular time. But they won that ball game by 1 point, and that got them rolling. That gained a lot of confidence for them. Their running game is excellent. So I think Georgia wins that one, and they win it handily.
All right, other games we just want to touch on going down. Florida at Missouri should be a good.
Man, I don't know which one's going.
I know it should be a good game of who cares.
Exactly right, and that's what it's going to matter because one coach is already gone. They got an interim at Florida, and Barry Odom probably not going to make it either.
All right, what's going to happen at Kentucky with Ole Miss?
Kentucky should win it. They really should because I think they got more to play for than Ole Miss does right now. But Ole Miss has got more talent. I'll be first to tell you. Even though the sanctions are coming, the kids they put on the field, look. Again, they had Arkansas 31-7 in the first quarter. Right. They should win the ball game, but they got to go to Lexington. Kentucky knows, even though they're already bowl eligible, there's a lot riding on that ball game. Kentucky probably is going to win the ball game just because Ole Miss won't play hard enough to bring a win back to Oxford.
All right, other games around the SEC, Coastal Carolina goes to Arkansas, UMass goes to Mississippi State, Western Kentucky at Vanderbilt, which should be a pretty good ball game, and Southern Miss at Tennessee.
Well, I think the Southern Miss Tennessee is very intriguing because, we know what's happening in Knoxville right now.
Right.
And Southern Miss is coming off a devastating loss.
To UAB. Congratulations to Bill Clark,
Absolutely.
UAB.
Did a great job for that.
Right. Hey, and before we finish up college, let's talk about you went to Troy this weekend.
Oh, man.
Had a big time.
That was I had a chance to see some guys. They did what they call a Legends flashback, and there I was right there on the big board with all these guys. You got to remember, I played there 60, 61, 62, and then I went back and coached the first national championship team there. And I sit up there in the box with those national championship guys, and Jerry, most of those guys are older than me and you. I mean, I don't know how they got so old, but we're celebrating our anniversary for next year for that championship game. When I found out how many years ago it was, Jerry, it was 50 years ago we won that.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back with the high school report and Marty Staples right here on Gameday TV.
How do you show love? With the big things? The little things? The tough things? Your everything. Show them you care. Alpha Insurance.
Make your vehicle a rolling billboard or a one-of-a-kind by changing the entire color by adding a high-quality vehicle wrap. Sundown Vehicle Wraps is the premier vehicle wrap company in Central Alabama. Our extensive knowledge makes us the leader in vehicle advertising. Whether you're a small business looking to increase revenue or a stabilized company looking for guaranteed visibility for your company, from design to installation, our team delivers with innovative graphics that are guaranteed to turn heads at an affordable price. Visit us on the web to start your next vehicle wrap project.
Central State Bank is your hometown bank with signature personal service at 5 convenient locations in Shelby County. For more than 100 years, we've been large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. Come by and see us and visit us online at centralstatebank.com.
Thank you. I never in a million years thought that I would ever have to utilize a Ronald McDonald House. It meant the world that I was able to stay so close to her, and she was never alone. Thank you from the Chepkowskis family.
Welcome into the Tips on Tailgating segment with Game Day Chef Marty Staples. I'm Jerry Young, coach, along with Coach Max Howell. Marty, this meal we're kind of preparing for this segment, maybe for late afternoon.
Yeah, I'd say it's like your 5 o'clock game.
5 o'clock game?
5 o'clock, yeah.
All right, so tell us what we got here. I see these little delicious looking morsels over here.
Yeah, those are our Doremus sausage corn dog bites. And we're going to pair them up with a little honey mustard sauce.
Yeah?
And next to it is going to be a tomato soup salad. My mother's absolute favorite recipe. She serves it at all of her bridge clubs. And let me tell you what, it's got to taste like you say. What is that I'm eating?
We're going to try it out.
Okay. And then also we got our pimento cheese mac and cheese.
Like pimento mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Man.
And I myself don't like the egg mac and cheese. I like that creamy mac and cheese. So that's what it is, creamy mac and cheese.
Now wait,
pimento cheese.
don't forget the dessert.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, one of my favorites now.
Notice Coach always gets the dessert. Today we're going to be doing s'mores with roasted marshmallows on top of Reese's peanut butter cups.
All right, folks. Well, let me just tell you that, first of all, let me go back to the corn dog bites.
Okay.
Doremus Sausage is our sponsor of the Game Day Tips on Tailgating with head chef, Game Day chef, Marty Staples. I almost forgot your name.
Well,
Marty.
don't do that.
I've known you but for years. But
and I'll tell you what, if you want me to, I'll show you how you make those.
Why don't we do that? Let's go straight back here. We got our deep fat fryer, is that correct?
That's correct. And what I've done is I put a little Doremus sausage down in a bag. I put a little bit of cornstarch in it.
Yeah.
That makes sure that the Doremus sausage is real dry. That way your corn dog batter will adhere to it.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna put it right down there into the
So you just
stick.
stick the stick into the sausage.
And then here's the corn batter. Now tell me if this gets too difficult for you.
Okay. Put it
And
in the batter.
And then you put it in the deep fat fryer. Just like that.
Wow. Almost like a fondue kind of thing.
Almost like a fondue thing.
And then it comes out as
Looking
a
like
corn
that.
dog
Looking
bite
like that.
that you can dip in honey mustard and eat.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you make another couple while you're standing back there?
Okay.
Because we don't want to not have enough. Because Max is.
Listen, it's almost my dinner time.
Hey, while he's dipping those in the fryer, I'll remind you again that we want to thank the folks at Doremus Sausage. Doremus Sausages, put an S on it, .com. They'll ship smoked sausage anywhere all over the country. They do every day. So I want to thank Herb and all his group down there. An old family recipe that's been around for many, many years. And we know there's other sausage companies in Alabama. Let me tell you, folks, once you try this, you won't go back.
But now you
This
need
is
to
the
go a little
best.
bit closer to home than that, Jerry.
Yeah.
You said down there. That's in downtown Booth, Alabama.
Booth, Alabama.
If you've never been, that you need to make the trip to Booth.
That's right. Which is near Prattville, which is where you grew up.
Just an outskirt, just on
That's
the
right.
outskirt.
And also remember, in November, they're going to start shipping out their holiday ham.
Oh, yeah.
See, we hadn't even started thinking about
Oh
that.
yeah, we're gonna have holiday hams for December for Christmas. Was it? And
They'll ship them anywhere?
anywhere in the country. Smoked hams from Doremus. So go to DoremusSausages.com. Check it out. Okay. Well, let's take a bite here, Marty.
We got something coming out here.
Oh well, I'm gonna.
You gonna get some of those?
I'm gonna get some of this honey mustard.
Now, this tomatoes, and I don't know whether you told them or not, but all these recipes are on the Game Day recipe.
Ask Gameday TV on our Facebook page. Just go right there. All these recipes will be posted. So if you want to be the star of your tailgate, just go to Ask Gameday TV, hit the like button, and all of our recipes, all of Marty's recipes will be posted right there on Facebook.
And I'm only charging $1 a recipe.
Is that
Good,
right?
that's listen. That's cheap.
You all enjoy it. Just
right.
make sure you tell them that I'm the one that gave you the recipe.
That's right, Marty Staples. And look at this mac and cheese, folks. This is pimento and cheese. Pimento mac and cheese. I'll get it right in a minute. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, Marty, is it hot or do I eat one of these that's cool?
It's not quite there yet.
All right, I'm going to eat one of these that's cool. I'm going to give Max one. All right, Max.
I'm gonna get into that salad.
Uh-oh.
There we go. We got a dip. We got
Dip
a little,
right in
have
there.
a little dip here now.
That's right.
Woo.
Is it good, Max?
Wow.
What you think?
All right. Hey, I'm going to tell you thanks for watching Tips on Tailgating with Game Day Chef Marty Staples before I take a bite of this. Because once I take a bite, I'm not going to be able to talk.
You're going to have all those over there eating before we're out of here.
No problem. Hey, okay, thanks for watching, everybody. Keep watching for more Tips on Tailgating with Game Day Chef Marty Staples to come right here on Game Day TV.
I want to thank Marty Staples for doing Tips on Tailgating for us. He's our game day chef. What a great chef he is too, Max. We have fun recording that earlier, so we hope you enjoyed it.
Well, here's what I love about it. I get to take home all the leftovers.
That's right.
with it.
Hey, those recipes will be posted on our Facebook page at Ask Game Day TV. All right, let's get into it. Got a quick report to give you. I want to talk about just a little bit before we get into the brackets. What a game it was at Hoover with Thompson and Hoover. You know, I've been saying all year you could take 5 teams and shake them up. That's the proof right there. I hope you watched it. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to report on that game a little bit more. Right now, we're going to go up and put up 1A on your screen, and this is the brackets. You're going to have a few seconds there to look it over, see if your team made it into the playoffs, and if so, who they're going to play. Once again, I want to thank John Lunsford, Aaron Daniel, Tim Melton, all the guys at Jocks Radio in Birmingham. This is their bracketology, if that's the correct word, from Jocks, and mostly John Lunsford and Aaron Daniel do that. They break it down. So I want to thank them for allowing me to use this information, but there is your 1A right there. Look for Maplesville to come out of that one on top, just as a little side note. Okay, in 2A, there's the 2A now as we put it up there on the screen. You can look around as we broadcast this show all the way through the state. You can see not only if your school made it into the playoffs, but if they did, who they will be playing as well. There's your 2A bracket. Moving on to 3A now. Most of these, by the way, are pretty much guaranteed in all these brackets, but there's still a few questions, so a few of them may be what we think is going to happen, but as a rule, most of them are there. 3A bracket, very good this year. Mobile Christian leading the way, as most people might think on that one. In 4A, we move on to 4A now. I love Thomasville in that classification. I called the ball game down in Tallahassee this past Friday night between Elmore County and Tallahassee. They've got a good ball team. Coach Battles Jr. there, Mike Battles Jr. doing a great job with Tallahassee. A lot of teams coming out, including Wilson out of North Alabama, that should be really good as well. Now let's get into your 5A bracket. As we look in 5A, a lot of things can happen in 5A. It's just the right exact size to have. A lot of people in 5A now are where they're not going both ways, so it kind of separates. 1A through 4A, Max, a lot of the players go both ways. About 5A is where you can have your own offense, your own defense.
Well, the numbers make a big difference.
They do.
You get the school's bigger, they got a bigger source to draw from.
Right.
Good. Of course, I still love to go down and watch one. And you and I made a trip a couple of weeks ago to Vernon, Alabama to watch that. That was very entertaining football.
Yeah, it was. We want to thank the folks at Vernon for being so gracious to us, and for Jack Ivey for having us up there in the press box with his broadcast.
Right.
I want to thank him as well. Let's move to 5A now, as we had it up on the screen. But there are some great ball teams in 5A. Pleasant Grove playing good this year. Alexandria playing good this year. Jackson always in it. Demopolis in it. And look for Viger this year to be better than usual. I'm going to give you scores on 5A, 6A, and 7A right after we throw the next two brackets up there. But we'll kind of break down 6A just a little bit here as 6A comes in. Ben Russell's going to play Saraland up. And now, of course, you got the south bracket on the left, the north on the right, north part of the state. You'll see some familiar names and some new names in there. Park Crossing down about midway there on the left side, going to play Bessemer City. Park Crossing, a very physical defense. They'll hit you hard. Opelika is going to play Daphne. What a first-round ball game there. Carver Montgomery travels to McAdory, and Pelham will have to travel down to Spanish Fort. That's going to be a hard game for Pelham to win. Now, looking over to the other side in the north, you got Pell City on the top right-hand corner up there playing Shades Valley. They'll be at home. Congratulations to Keith Etheridge for turning Pell City around and getting them in the playoffs. The number one team in the state, Austin, draws an easy first-round game, in my opinion, Carver or Birmingham. Ramsey's still in it. Pinson Valley, of course, plays Florence. Florence got to travel, not that bad of a drive down to Pinson Valley. Bo Nix is going to be ready, the quarterback at Pinson Valley. Florence makes it into the playoffs. Congratulations to them. Gardendale will play at Muscle Shoals. Muscle Shoals right up the street there from Florence, so they get to, in that Tri-County area, they make it as well. That whole part of the state going to be very fired up on Friday night, starting a week from Friday. Hueytown will travel to Oxford, Athens to Clay Chalkville. Clay Chalkville stays in the playoffs again. And then the team I love to talk about this year, Fort Payne at Homewood. Homewood undefeated, playing great football. Congratulations to the Patriots. And as I mentioned, John Lunsford helps me with these brackets, or does these brackets for us. And he's a graduate of Homewood. He's more excited than anybody to see them back in the playoff picture again. So there's your 6A report. Now let's move on, if we can, to 7A. In the smaller bracket, of course, but in 7A, these are pretty much all set as far as I know. And I know that McGill-Tulane and Fairhope still have to play, so there might be a little question there, but they're both in the playoffs. It's just a matter of whether or not they play these teams that we've got them listed. But Davidson will play Auburn. Jeff Davis should play McGill-Tulane. Lee Montgomery will have to travel down to Fairhope. Lee Montgomery, a very good football team, but you got to travel from Montgomery to Fairhope. Not an easy drive. We'll see how that works. Foley, well, boy, they just got in it, but what a reward. They get to play the number one team in the state, Central Phoenix City. Max, let's talk about Jamie Dubose for a minute. Everybody knows. Everywhere he goes, he's a winner. But it helps when you got the number 5 recruit in the nation.
That's right.
And Justin Ross is your wide receiver. I saw him make a catch this past week. One-handed catch like you would see in the pros. He's unbelievable.
Well, and the thing about Jamie is he's smart enough to know when to play him and when to pull him.
That's
and
right.
He's done that. Look what he's done. He's been a return guy. He's been a wide receiver. They've done a pitch sweep to him on the end around. They've done all the things that you got to do to win, but not overuse the kid. and wear him out before then. It risks the injury situation with him. Hats off to Jamie Dubose. He's done a great job.
Well, he's like so many coaches that we talk about in the state. He's basically a college coach coaching at a high school. There's several of them in Alabama like that.
Yep.
If I start naming them, I'll miss some, but since we're just talking about him, he's one of them. Okay, let's move on now as we go down the bracket. As I mentioned, on the left side, Foley will be at Central Phoenix City. That's a long drive for Foley, by the way. Okay, on the right-hand side, which is the north side of the bracket, you're going to have Mountain Brook traveling to Bob Jones. Congratulations to Kevin Rose making it back in the playoff again up in Bob Jones and being not only in the playoffs but high enough seed to get the home game against Mountain Brook. The Spartans will have to drive to Huntsville. Speaking of Huntsville High School will travel down to Thompson. I'll be broadcasting that game, Max. I just tell you, you'll be in one part of the state that you don't know where you're going to be yet. Yeah. And I mentioned earlier, Max has got been hired by Raycom to do their playoff game of the week. You can watch him at pathtotheplayoffs.com if you don't have your Raycom channel in your area, which I guess everybody in the state of Alabama's got Raycom. Channel 6 in Birmingham, and I can't remember them all, but they're all over the state. But anyway, that's where Max will be doing the color analyst on the game of the week on Friday night. I'll be over on the NFHS network calling the second game, or the other game, and the big game in the state, as we'll break it down every Friday night. My first round game is going to be Huntsville at Thompson. We'll go see Mark Freeman, Tallulah and company, and we're going to have a big game there. Drop it on down, Sparkman comes to Hoover. Hoover coming off of that loss to Thompson. We'll look for them to bounce back. Of course, Hoover's got to go down to IMG this week, Max.
Well, that's a trip now, I'll tell you.
Man, and IMG, y'all, all of y'all that keep up with high school football, that's enough said.
Well, that's a college. That's a college. It's a high school level.
That's right. Well, there's another college
Well, they
coach.
recruit.
That's right.
Give me a break.
Well, I think Hoover's going to give them a good game. We'll see, okay? And then the last game on the bottom right, Spain Park doesn't have to go very far, just up to Hewitt-Trussville. Quite possibly the best high school facility. Well, not quite possibly. It is the best high school facility in the state right now. Thompson's about to open up their wonderful facility here in a couple of months. But Hewitt-Trussville, Josh Floyd got those guys on fire, playing good, playing the Gus Malzahn offense the way it's supposed to be played. With a
quarterback run.
Yeah, a little bit. He runs a little bit. Paul Tyson, the great-grandson of Paul Bryan, of course, runs that offense. And, man, what a good job. But Spain Park's coming to play. They don't have to travel far. It's an easy trip for them, so could be an interesting game. Okay, that's your brackets right there as we ran down 1 through 7A classifications. Hope your team, wherever you're watching in the state of Alabama, made it. Now, let's go to the scores. We got just a couple of minutes here before we'll be through with this segment. Let's go to the scores here. We'll start with 5A. I'm going to start with number 5, Etowah. They played Scottsboro. They beat them 47-27, so a win there. Winona, they beat St. Clair County 26-7. They're in the playoffs, just so you know, against Alexandria. That'll be a great ball game. Beauregard, out of Opelika, they beat Lincoln 61-26. They do travel to Ben Russell up 280 there. Ben Russell, of course, in Alexander City. Their playoff game, first round against Greenville. Greenville's no slouch of a team in the first round either. But Beauregard got some great players, great running back. They should take care of business the next couple of weeks. Out of Ozark comes Carroll High School. They beat Greenville 14-8. As I mentioned, Greenville's a pretty good football team. The number 2 team in the state just beat them 14-8, so just a 6-point win there. But Carroll, they go down to Bayside Academy, a school that you know a good bit about.
One year. Yeah.
That's right, and they're in the playoffs against Talladega. And number 1, Briarwood Christian, had trouble, but they got by Pleasant Grove 21-14, and they are in the playoffs. They're off this coming Friday night. They start in the playoffs against Crossville. So there is your 5A. So let's move on now to 6A and the scores and how they did quickly, as we'll start at number 5, Homewood. They beat Hueytown 23-7. Their next game is against Paul Bryant, and the playoff game will be against Albertville. Spanish Fort, number 4, beat Rain 42-6. Pinson Valley beat Carver 39-15. Oxford was off, and number 1 Austin beat Athens 69-28. Their next game will be against James Clemens. Now let's go to 7A's. We've got to hustle up to get these in. We'll start at number 6 on them there on your screen. Well, let's go down to 7. Fairhope has got to play McGill-Tulane. McGill-Tulane, they're number 5. That's going to be a good ball game. Fairhope had an off week this week. No, they beat Bryant. I'm sorry, they beat Bryant. Auburn beat Jeff Davis. McGill-Tulane beat Theodore in a close one, 20-0, so to speak, as that game's closer than it appeared. Number 4, Hewitt-Trussville beat James Clemens 44-13. Their next game is up in Florence, and they'll be in the playoffs, as I mentioned, against Spain Park. Thompson and Hoover, we've covered that enough. What a great game. And then number 1, Central Phoenix City put a beat down on Prattville 56-20, and I know Jamie Dubose, formerly at Prattville, is glad about that. Okay, there's your high school report, folks. A lot of brackets, a lot of games to get in. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Kim Scherer will have game day weather right here on Gameday TV.
Make your vehicle a rolling billboard or a one-of-a-kind by changing the entire color by adding a high-quality vehicle wrap. Sundown Vehicle Wraps is the premier vehicle wrap company in Central Alabama. Our extensive knowledge makes us the leader in vehicle advertising. Whether you're a small business looking to increase revenue or a stabilized company looking for guaranteed visibility for your company, from design to installation, our team delivers with innovative graphics that are guaranteed to turn heads at an affordable price. Visit us on the web to start your next vehicle wrap project.
At Central State Bank, we are more than your local branch. Our digital lobby offers you the same great service you receive at our local offices, all from the convenience of your phone or home. Use mobile deposit, online banking, mobile wallet, and more. It is easy, convenient, and secure. Come by and see your personal banker or find out more at centralstatebank.com. This is just another way Central State Bank is large enough to serve you and small enough to know you.
I never in a million years thought that I would ever have to utilize a Ronald McDonald House. It meant the world that I was able to stay so close to her, and she was never alone. Thank you from the Chupkauskas family.
In typical Alabama style, we jump back on the weather roller coaster this week. We start out with frost advisories early in the week and then move to above average temperatures by the end of the week. Showers also reappear by the weekend. Friday night high school football just keeps getting more and more exciting around Alabama. We're the talk of the nation because our high school football teams are amazing. The weather might not be so amazing though for Friday night. North Alabama will have the biggest chance of rain at 80%. There'll possibly be rain and showers in the evening with thunderstorms developing overnight. Temperatures will be in the 60s for Central Alabama. Temperatures will be in the 60s for game time. It will be partly cloudy with a 50% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms. South Alabama has the best chance for clear skies on Friday night with only a 10% chance of rain. Winds will be light and variable with the temperatures in the 60s for kickoff. Saturday matchups look pretty similar to Friday night. Alabama plays at home with intervals of clouds and sunshine. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. Highs in the 70s and lows around 60. Auburn heads to College Station, Texas, and a 40% chance of rain follows them. Showers are possible in the morning, then cloudy in the afternoon. Rain chances will drop to about 20% at night. That's it for your game day weather. Enjoy the weather roller coaster this week and have a safe and happy Halloween.
Hey, this coming Saturday, it has a chance to be some of the greatest games we've seen so far in the SEC, and that's where we're going to head over now back to Max. Max, there's some playoff implications coming up as far as where people stand, brackets, that sort of thing. What you got?
Well, here's what the AP poll comes out, and it's just recently out, and Alabama's at the top, and Georgia's 2, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Notre Dame are your top 5. And I look for them based on who they play up to now. That's probably going to remain the same. Here's the question, though. Does the selection committee for the playoffs, which actually comes out tonight, if you look at that, do they take 2 teams as it is? That'd be 2 teams from the SEC and 2 teams from the Big Ten. I don't think so. This committee is, they're level-headed and they're politically correct. They're going to try to find somebody on the West Coast, maybe somebody out of the southwestern part. They're going to do geographically. But right now, if it started today, you'd have Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Wisconsin, probably. I think they'll probably slide Notre Dame in, who's at number 5.
I already tell you they are.
They are. Notre Dame only has one loss, a 1-point loss to Georgia, if you remember the older part of the year.
I'm not going there. Okay.
Alabama is a predominant favorite. I saw Danny Sheridan on a couple of TV shows last week or two, and he's the guy that handles kind of the lines and the odds makers out of Vegas, and they got Alabama favorite all the way through, most of the time by double digits. Now, Alabama knows they have to play well, but you have to understand, when Coach Saban gets ready to prepare these guys for a championship run, they will play well.
That's poison, Max.
Yeah.
That's rat poison.
Well, I know it is, and he don't want to hear that.
That's right.
But he's been quiet long enough.
That's right. This week. Time to fire him up.
Right now, I think the winner of the Alabama-Georgia game in the SEC will definitely get a vote in. The loser of that depends on if it's a very close ball game, if it's a 21-14, something like that, a 1-point loss by either Georgia or Alabama. Both teams could go. The next question is Ohio State good enough? They knocked Penn State off this past weekend. But here's a team that's kind of floating along is Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Nobody's paying any attention to them. I don't know where they can play their way in because I don't want to say they're just kind of dull, but the offense is ground gain and basic, and all the defense is basic, and the uniforms are plain, and all the stuff that they don't want on national TV. So I think, but they're playing very, very well. I look for Notre Dame to ease in there. But where Georgia and can stay in and/or Wisconsin stay in is the question today. The polls will probably be on our station across the state of Alabama in the next few minutes.
Well, that should be interesting, and you touched on Alabama, and they're the standard.
They are,
and I don't care what anybody says. We were watching Sports Center or whatever. They're talking about all these teams like you are with. It don't matter, Max.
Here's the thing that I love.
They got to go through Alabama, and it's just not. It's just impossible.
Here's probably the most classic statement I've ever heard. Alabama has not only raised the bar, they are the bar.
Absolutely.
And that supports what you've just said, Jerry. Right. They have to go. Whoever has got to go through Alabama to win the championship.
Yeah.
Now that's a credit to that program, credit what they've done and what Nick Saban and that staff have done, and the kids that they recruit. And because the next reward they get after a championship is going to the NFL, and he puts his fair share there.
All right. So I know I'm not overly fashion conscious, but yesterday I laughed at two things. I watched the guys up there in a suit that are basically skin-tight pants, which I don't get if you're a man, okay? I just don't understand wearing
that's like leotards.
Yeah, I know, on a suit, okay? So I started laughing there, and then they got all talking about all these other teams like it matters.
Yeah,
because in the end, it's still got to go through Alabama. Okay. All right, Max. We're almost out of time again. What's for supper?
Man, I'll tell you what, I had a great week this past week. I had two real big meals. I won't get into one where my wild game dinner came to play. But because these guys that I cooked 40 squirrels one night, but that's another story for another day.
You're in trouble just by saying that. Now you kind of had to catch
But my main menu this past week was a pork tenderloin.
Yes, sir.
And I do it in strips, and I put the hot peppers in it, roll it, put a toothpick through it, wrap it in bacon, throw it on the grill. When the bacon's done, take the tenderloin off because it'll be juicy on the inside. And on the side, I did a vegetable casserole. I did a house salad, basically with homemade blue cheese dressing on it. I did a garlic bread on the fryer. I have a burning eye on my grill, and I put the fryer. And you know this. I love that Texas toast, and I soak it in butter and garlic.
I know.
And you know how that works.
I don't know.
You can't beat that. And I wash all that down with a big old pitcher of sweet iced tea. And for dessert.
Yeah, what's for dessert?
I live in Mississippi.
Yeah, I know.
They got their own over there.
Yeah,
basically, it's called Mississippi mud pie. And if you've never seen it and you never eaten it, I'm telling you, it's 2-inch brownie with an inch of chocolate covering syrup on it. Then you cover that with pecans, and you put it back in the oven, just kind of melt that chocolate syrup into the cake, and you pull it out, and you put 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream on it. And now when you finish, if you're not ready for a nap, something's wrong with you. That's all
folks, listen, in 2 weeks, he's going to be calling football every Friday night on Raycom with Graham Dunn and the group at Raycom. So how he's going to waddle up to the press box, I don't know, but he'll be there, okay? Catch me on the NFHS Network every Friday night after this Friday night. But what I want to say, Max, in the middle of all this football, we got state volleyball championships going on all across Alabama. All these towns and schools are so excited. The state finals are Thursday at the Birmingham Crossplex. I'll be there on the NFHS network. Tune in Thursday morning starting at 8 o'clock, all 7 classifications. That's it for Game Day TV. For Max Howell, I'm Jerry Young. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week right here on Game Day TV.